going on, boxing fans? Julian Williams here at the distance. I got a prediction video for you guys. This is a match that takes place, I believe, April the 17th, Sunday, April 17th. This matchup is between Chris John and who's the champion, and Daud Yordan. Match takes place in Indonesia for the WBA Super Featherweight Championship. Another one of those odd WBA belts, or well, I guess another one of those odd belts out there. But overall, Chris John is actually, I believe, probably the longest reigning champion out there. He's been a champion for a while now. He's had quite a few defenses of his belt. Hasn't been too active over the last couple of years due to health problems. He's only been averaging maybe a couple fights a year since '07. Only fought once last year, which was against Fernando Salcedo, and that was a match that continuously got pushed back. I think that was due to health problems, which he got a unanimous decision in. And he hasn't really faced I guess a top name here in the States since Rocky Juarez, which is basically was supposed to be his coming out party to the United States, and was supposed to lead to much more exposure to the States, but that unfortunately didn't happen because he was given it was a draw, it was a gift draw, and then in the rematch he went in and beat him in the rematch, which took place on the Mayweather Marquez undercard on September like the 18th and 19th of '09. So he's coming in the ring against Daud Yordan, who's coming off a couple knockout victories over less known, not really known opponents. But his exposure to the world came against Celestino Caballero, when Caballero went in and basically just pulverized him over a course of like 10-12 rounds. And Caballero I think it was just a fight that was just way out of his element. He was like 22 at the time, 22, 23. He's in there against a veteran, a rangy fighter, and a rangy fighter that just is maintaining, sustaining a work rate, a tremendous work rate, throwing 70, 80 punches around, and just digging into the body constantly. Just throwing a lot of body shots. But but I think personally that was just a matchup to where Daud Yordan was just out of his element. Look at who he was fighting, and I think that he probably made some improvements ever since. See, Daud Yordan, the thing about this matchup that's going to be interesting is that this could be a very slow fight, because I saw in the last matchup between or not necessarily his last match, but I saw in the matchup against Yordan and Caballero that Yordan has more of a natural tendency to be a counterpuncher. Chris John has a tendency to dictate fights using his jab, more so using his offense than anything else. So what you have is a fighter that likes to have his defense create offense, but also on the other side you have a fighter that can just do almost anything offensively. But defensively, he's not as well equipped. Chris John's a good counter puncher as well. He throws a very good counter left hook. They both throw very good counter left hooks, though Yordan can throw the counter right hook as well. Chris John in this matchup, like I said, this should be a very slow paced matchup. This is just what it is on paper. Chris John does very good at landing his jab and dictating fights with his jab. He can throw a single jab. He can double up the jab, triple the jab, whatever it takes for him to control the pace of this matchup. We saw in the matchup against Celestino Caballero that Daud Yordan had trouble against fighters with effective work rates. And Chris John is not the type of fighter that has an effective work rate, but he does make fighters second guess on defense to when they come inside, because of his jab. His jab sets up the overhand right, and also when you're standing at a close range to him, he's throwing hooks. He throws hook combinations. throws those inside. He's not necessarily an inside fighter, but he throws the hooks inside. In this matchup, Chris John's gonna have to dictate the match with the jab. He's gonna have to, and also range doesn't really play much of a key factor for Chris John. Chris John stays at kind of a mid range, and he doesn't necessarily angle or anything. He kind of stands in front of you, but he throws a jab and he throws combinations when you're a fighter that stands in front of him. If you're in the shell or not, and Daud Yordan is going to be in the shell. Chris John is going to have to be assertive with the punches more so than aggressive, because if he gets too aggressive, then Daud Yordan can hit him with that counter left. So he's gonna have to put his combinations together very well and very organized, and he's gonna have to pretty much place every shot well timed, well timed shots, assertive combinations, and I guess a little more general movement. I guess it maybe hit him with that occasional shot to the body. And Chris John can actually win this matchup, based on that. Daud Yordan in this matchup, like I said, with his style, he does make his defense create offense. And in this matchup, Chris John's not going to throw as many punches towards him. So he's going to have to try to walk down Chris John. He's going to have to try to walk him down. And not necessarily try to knock him out, but, pretty much make it a inside fight. But also counter. You got like against the offensive fighter like a Chris John, who's more so technical than aggressive. You want to counter, but also you want to get your shots off. You want to be against assertive. You want to be aggressive. You want to be aggressive against assertive, because when you're aggressive, that's what the judge is going to see more so than assertiveness and safeness. He's going to have to go in. He's going to have to pretty much roughhouse Chris John. He's going to have to go to the body, but also, counter effectively. Counter with that overhand right hook that he can throw very well, and the overhand left hook that he throws well. Also, he does look for the overhand right. He could counter, try his best to counter over Chris John's jab with the overhand right, and he could take this matchup just based on that. I think if he could fight just as technical, and he's keeping up with Chris John, then he could actually win this matchup. So, who do I think is going to win this matchup? As difficult of a fight as this is to analyze, I want to go with the champion in this matchup. I'm going to go with the champion Chris John by a unanimous decision. I think that Chris John will be able to control the tempo and control the range in this matchup. More so with using his jab and setting up shots off the jab, and having, like I said, well-timed shots. He can win this matchup just based on that. But I think Daud Yordan, he's gonna come to fight. More so, he's gonna come to fight. So I'm gonna go with Chris John by a unanimous decision. So anyway, guys, that was the distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.